Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show, and excited here with you on this Tuesday, this rankings release Tuesday. OSU probably not going to be impacted at all in the rankings. Indiana not going to be impacted at all. We'll see where A&M falls, where Georgia moves, Texas Tech, Oregon, if they move around Ole Miss. Very interesting time, Schlegs. I know we focused all on the Ohio State-Michigan game yesterday. We will still hit a lot of that as we move forward today and some of the things that are going on there with the Buckeyes, and talk a little bit about that game, but then also continue to push on and push forward to Indiana, which is obviously going to be a huge game here in the Big Ten Championship as we move forward and look at that. So look forward to diving in on all of that. The coaching carousel has been absolutely crazy in college football, Schlegs. It looks like with Kentucky, and this has been a big question, and we got Bill Bender coming up here in about 10 minutes, so don't worry about everything going on with that. He'll keep us up to date and get us locked in on going on what we need to do. But with Stein going to Kentucky, Schlegs, it looks like it's a done deal. Everybody's been super worried about Brian Hartline, and I think that more or less makes him safe for moving forward. I do kind of agree with that. That seemed like something that could have been a natural fit with, his brother coaching there and playing there and just his connections and relationship.
Well, one, Brian's going to be successful because he's been under Urban, he's been under Ryan, he's seen two different ways. He played for Tress, and he's a phenomenal recruiter. And having this year calling the plays under his belt, knowing what that needs to look like, feel like, act like, along with what does he feel about a strength conditioning department and how that fits and builds that culture, along with, I think sometimes people don't take this into consideration. What's the quality of life that you like? You know what I mean? Like his brother was down there. He goes to Norris Lake. Like it's kind of in the South. We know Brian. He likes to be outside and have some space and play a little bit. So that's good too, but he feels that he could recruit. And that's the thing, like Brian can be successful wherever he goes. And that's when these jobs, this is why I'm going to go back, Bob. And you said, looks like it could have been a fit. 100%. I think he could be a fit anywhere. I think there's a lot of guys on this staff, Bob, that could be a fit anywhere. Matty P could be a fit anywhere he wanted to go. That being said.
Say it, babe.
That being said, sometimes in this is why I don't like the timing. And there is a bunch of different quotes on our sheet of people talking about this. But let's not forget, Lane Kiffin took that Florida Atlantic job, and Nick Saban took away his privileges because he couldn't do two jobs at once.
Well, could he or could he not, or did he just not want to do two jobs?
I'm telling you guys right now, think about this. And I do it. I mean, Bob, you do it. You do it.
And there's
right?
a show called businesses. There's a show, I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, where they talk about a dad having two jobs. And I don't know if that's the same thing that you're alluding to or not.
I'm alluding to the fact that it's hard to be elite at two things. And now in today's age of you have the portal and you have high school recruits and you have to get a staff together and all of these different things. The one that adopted early, right? The ones that adopted early, you see James Franklin, he was already fired. He's already at Virginia Tech. He's already being able to evaluate the staff. He's already being able to evaluate the current roster. He's already going back to recruits that he had that were committed to Penn State that are now dude flipping to Virginia Tech. Everybody gets behind the eight ball. That's one, let the season play out. Why not see Ole Miss with their head football coach in it? And then after the season, that's when everybody is open to make these transitions. And yeah, as soon as the season's over, the national championship is played, which is why it needs to all be bumped up. You can have a line of demarcation as to hire whoever you want, and you will see this go because there's going to be guys on staff going from one place to another, but at least make it fair and equal to whomever gets the job as they go over who they want to be on their coaching staff. So even if Brian was to get this job, not only would it impact Ohio State currently where they are, however, they also have a head football coach that is a play caller in and of himself and a very good one at that. But it throws a wrinkle in as you're trying to accomplish the mission of winning a national championship, winning a Big Ten title, going into the playoffs. Same to be said now for Oregon with their offensive coordinator leaving. I just don't like the timing of any of it, and it's because children are the ones that came up with this.
I said children are our
Grown
future.
men, grown adults that go and drink monsters and have a whiteboard and say, let's put this on there. Everybody in the room, consensus. Does this look good? And everybody's like, that looks effing terrible. That is stupid. Why would we do that? Because there's so many holes.
Well, here's the thing. The portal, this is what coaches, they love to lament that the portal is when it is, but they all want it there so they can get their players on campus. Or the coaches are the ones that tell their ADs what they want. And so they're the ones that have driven this portal situation to when it is. And that's what's pushing all the guys to obviously get signed before the season to make sure they have spots. They need to say, hey, we're going to do a portal in May, but the coaches don't want to wait that long to get their players. That's the problem, Schleiks. And I think that they won't admit that to themselves.
Well, the thing is too, Bob, is that Ryan doesn't like it. He doesn't like the way this is because
he's
Ohio
playing
State.
But how many teams are playing? There's 8 teams there are 12 teams that'll be playing that this will impact a little bit. There'll be 8 teams that will impact a little bit more. But I mean, of the 130 in Division I, do you think most of those schools care about that? They could give a flip about it.
No, they just want to survive and keep their jobs, comp tickets and sweats. And here's where I go back to why it should be different. And we talk about guys hopping in the portal. We heard about players quitting on teams, et cetera, et cetera. There has to be a way that you can keep a person calendar to calendar, whatever it is. May 1 to, let's say, you look at the knuckles, like January, February, March, April 30th, right? You're under contract. May 1 to April 30th, you're under contract. Why is this beneficial? And this is what I say too. And you and I have always talked about this, Bob. The grass isn't always greener. Let the process work. So yeah, you come through, you have a season, coach leaves, you're still there under contract. Go through that new offseason. Go through that spring football and see where you are. Then if you don't like it, hop into it. That's my problem with it. I think we've eliminated the value of the process and the training to help develop to see where they are and where that fit could be, because they don't even know if that's a fit at the new university or at their university with a new football coach. They don't. So I don't like the cycle. I think it's very, very simple to do. You already have a model that has been played out for decades. It's in the NFL. They do it that way. Very simple. We talk about all these buyouts with coaches. Look at all the structures of the NFL contracts. Look at all the bonuses that coaches and players get by going into the playoffs. That's very simple way of adding revenue share with the players as a bonus to every round they get when they go to the college football playoff. It is so simple. It's stupid. And yet, for some reason, college football thinks that they have to do it completely different. I know how that feels. I've been around people like that, and it's terrible.
So E. Rogers in the chat said, if I'm paying $100 million for a coach, I expect him on my campus. How do you respond to that?
I understand. I 100% understand that, E-Rod. Ed, that's Ed. That's Ed. I like it. That's awesome. I totally agree with you, Ed.
Maybe it's E.D. Rogers.
Yeah, okay. Erectile dysfunction, that's not him.
Maybe it's Eder Odgers.
No. Ed, you're strong like bull. Here's the thing. I totally agree with you. I just think it should be done after the season. I think the season should be played. The finale should be played on the first Saturday in January. That way you absolutely own everything. You're not competing with the NFL. All your eyeballs will be bigger. And then you go in, and then you can have – I don't even want the portal then. I want the portal in May. But you can at least on campus, who are those recruits? Either have an early signing day, whatever the case may be. That's fine. We can figure all that out. But it's the cycle of when are you with the team and when do the coaches come in so you could have that search. To me, there has to be a line in the sand. This is when you can do it at the conclusion, just like in the NFL, at the conclusion of the Super Bowl, at the conclusion of the college football playoff championship game. That's all I'm saying. But I agree with you. If you're paying a guy $100 million, yeah, you want him on campus because you want a competitive advantage. What does this do to Ole Miss? What does this do for, Dan Lanning at Oregon? He's got, is he going to raise somebody else up? Who's calling those plays? who's out
That's
there that
tough.
could be the next
Yeah.
offensive coordinator, who's going to recruit and fill that void. Does he have to pick up that slack in the midst of making a run? That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't like, because we're not keeping the main thing, and that is ultimately winning a national championship. And then you start to cycle over. That's my problem with the entire thing.
That is the problem, is you're asking guys to leave. It was players. Remember last year as we sat there and talked about Bo Perbula at Penn State, who ultimately transferred to Missouri, and the players like that, and how Devin Brown kind of waited until the end, and Cal held a spot for him. But that was players. Now we're talking about coaches and coaches leaving, and like it would have been a hell of a travesty if Brian Hartline would have had to leave this team that he's been such a great part of and not be able to coach. I think that he would have been a great fit at Kentucky. And we'll talk about some of the other fits that are coming along here as we got Bill Bender. By the way, Pat, you forgot to email Bill Bender the link. So Buckeyes on
Way to
that.
go.
Yeah.
Way to
I was
go.
like, man,
Hey,
usually Bill's here by now. How about this, Schlegs? Alex, we'll dive. Just give me a 1 minute nugget because I'm sure Bill will be here soon as I just gave him the deal. Give me a 1 minute nugget on Alex Golesh to Auburn.
oh, man. Well, one, wig out, keep the thing. And I say it all the time, strength conditioning, football, keep the main thing. Absolutely. Alex Golesh. He was RGA, Bob. Intern.
He wasn't a GA. He was a student assistant.
Student assistant. I mean, like, what are we talking about? And here's the thing, like, he has a great backstory. Go look at it. Like, Russian, right, coming over here. But he went in there and said, like, this program is going to be based on discipline and the fundamentals. And he's a guy that's going to coach you the entire time. He's had a lot of success. He's risen rapidly. And I think Auburn got themselves a hell of a football coach. He did some great things at University of South Florida. Bob, what's your take before Bill gets here?
I think it's going to be good. I guess I saw something online, Schlegs, where Arkansas, the folks over there were furious because I guess they offered him $7 million and Auburn offered him 7.4. And they're like, we lost the guy we wanted over $400,000 a year. Like, what are we talking about? And I don't know if that was all of it, if there was a coaching pool, if it was NIL. I mean, there's a lot of things to factor in there. But I was just amazed that I heard that, and that was the case because it looked like he was a done deal to Arkansas. We'll get into this a little bit more later. We got Bill Bender, who is waiting for us, ready in the wings to break all this down. And Schlegs, he's got a nice little Notre Dame Miami comparison that we can dive into that he put together on the Sporting News because he's one of the best. So we'll get into all of that, talk through all that. But you know how fast NFL games move these days. One big play and everything changes. That's why live betting on FanDuel is a game changer. With FanDuel, you can bet in real time while the game unfolds. Score just flipped, jump on the new spread or ride the live money line. That wide receiver is heating up. Bet the next touchdown score or total yards. That drive stalls in the red zone. Take a live field goal prop or fade the total. Live player props, team totals, drive results, updated spreads, next play markets. It's all there. Live, it's fast, it's fun, and with FanDuel, your live bets move as quickly as the game does. So whether you're riding the momentum or fading the hype, FanDuel puts you right in the middle of every moment. Visit FanDuel.com/bigplay to download the app and bet on the NFL live all season long. Must be 21 older and present in Ohio or 21 older and present in Pennsylvania. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. We got Bill Bender coming up next. All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show, and we've got our guy from the Sporting News joins us each and every week, Mr. Bill Bender. Bill, did you have a good Thanksgiving, sir? A lot went on from Thursday to Saturday night.
Yeah, we've got a lot to cover here. I mean, between Thanksgiving, rivalry week, the Lane Kiffin circus that kind of overshadowed rivalry week. It was fun. Had a fun time in Ann Arbor. That was a really good experience. It never gets old covering that game. And with Dave Briggs' help from the Toledo Blade, we made it home. Man, there was a lot of snow and a lot of cars driving all over the place on the way back, but it was a fun day.
Hey, Bill, get us rolling, man, because there's all sorts of stuff going down. And you have like one in particular, and I'll just start like in in the Big Ten. So you have Kalani, right? Sataki from BYU potentially going to Penn State. And there was some tweet out there like the big heads came together at BYU, and maybe he's saying at BYU and what that is. But then you also had, Fitz going to Michigan State, which I think is a really good hire there. And then we'll get into the SEC. But talk a little bit about the Big Ten coaching carousel that's going on right now.
I'm so happy Pat Fitzgerald's back in the Big Ten. Class act guy. You forget how young he is, right? Like he coached at Northwestern for a long time after Randy Walker passed away, and he's only 50 years old.
Yeah. He's like Fickle's age. Those guys all played
together. They
played in the mid-90s.
But I always thought he didn't. I hate to use the phrase more with less, but he did the most with what he had at Northwestern. He always maximized the talent there. I know you guys played against him. It was probably a tough out because you knew they were well coached, and I think he'll bring that to Michigan State at the right time. Bob Chesney, if that comes through at UCLA, I like that one too. The way that he's coached the last couple of years, James Madison is laying it on people and still has a chance to get in the playoff. So I like that one. And then, the Penn State, I would anticipate that Kalani stays at BYU with nothing behind that. It's going to be hard to pull him out of there, but man, where do they go if they don't get Chesney or Sataki or, I know Brian Hartline was a rumor, and we've talked about that on here. They're going to be stuck in a tough place if they can't get any of these guys to come to Penn State.
Well, and it's true, Bill, as well, because they were one of the first teams with a job opening, and a lot of these have opened and closed since then. And it seemed like once the Lane Kiffin domino fell, or it seemed apparent to fall, it was just cavalcade. Yeah, it was just everywhere. It was like mortars going off, in a battlefield. Is there, you got Alex Golesh to Auburn as well. You've got Summerall to Florida. And what do you think, Bill, about some of these guys potentially staying at their job and coaching through the playoff? I know that's something that John Summerall has talked about. I believe that was also talked about, with UCLA and JMU. I mean, is this how do you balance this world that we're in right now with this completely jacked up calendar?
Well, I can simplify the Lane Kiffin piece of that after. But when John Summerall, the best part about Friday night, John Summerall at Tulane moving on, Eric Morris, North Texas moving on. But that's a good thing for those schools. I don't think North Texas is going to say, man, I can't believe Eric Morris is leaving. They're going to say, hey, we got to the playoff that one season, then he moved on. And you can encourage that as a school. You can say, hey, if you do well here, you're going to move up like these guys did. I'm so excited to watch that game. Lane is different for the most obvious reason. It's the only power 4 to power 4 move that we've had in this cycle. And anytime that happens, whether it was Lincoln Riley going from Oklahoma to USC, Brian Kelly, Notre Dame to LSU, the feelings are already amplified. I mean, and we talked about it on here, that there was no way, in my opinion, that once Lane Kiffin said, I'm going to LSU, there was 0.00 chance he was going to coach at the college football playoff at Ole Miss. And that's crappy from the calendar standpoint, but it's reality too. So and a lot of people are ripping Lane right now, and this is an unpopular take. If he wants to coach at LSU, it's his decision. There are repercussions with that. We can't tell Lane Kiffin how to live his life. And of course, as you guys know, he's really good at wearing the villain hat anyway.
My biggest thing, Bill, and I want Richard, Bill, Wild Bill, all the things, Magnum, that I like to call you. My biggest thing with this is you wouldn't have any of this if you just made it to where you could hire the coaches at the end of the college football season. And that was it. And that's kind of the point, because, I heard, right, we've heard nationally, well, let them stay with the guys and finish what they started. Hard to do, as Ed pointed out, like if I'm paying a guy $100 million, I want him on campus. Well, then what is he going to do? He's going to build his staff. I'm like, hey, listen, if you're going with me, like, buckle up, Buttercup, you're coming now. Bump what you're doing. Like, we got to go get on the road and recruit these guys for 2026. And there is no finish what you started. That's why I don't like about it. That's why I don't like about the drama. We don't even have to have drama if they just change it. Of all the hires out there that we've had so far, as a matter of fact, Tulane said, hey, coach us to the championship game. right? You can have that. And I totally agree with you, Bill, because different schools have different value props to bringing in young talent as an offensive coordinator or a first-time head football coach, that if you win here, you can go on. Great value prop for those universities, and those ADs get it, which I like to see. Of all those hires, which one of them do you think can have the most immediate impact on success for their university?
I like Summerall of Florida a great deal. I think he's going to do a great job there right away. He's no nonsense. You look at his record,
He was at
41
Troy,
and
right?
7.
He was at Troy.
Troy and Tulane.
Right?
Nothing but
They
wins.
go from Troy, right, to Tulane, and then now
And
Florida.
I think he's played, I don't want to get this wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's played in the conference championship every year between those two schools, that he'll get you there. And that's a really good thing. So I think Florida needs a guy like him, kind of a no nonsense, can coach in the SEC. The fact that he didn't take the Kentucky job, being a Kentucky alum, tells you that he's motivated to, go do more than win 8 games. He really wants to win big there. Like Alex at Auburn too. That's a program that needs a sense of direction. It sneaks up on you that they had 5 straight losing seasons. So you bring in a guy like Alex, who his style at South Florida, they're a fun football team to watch. Byron Brown was one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the country this year. So I think he can have an impact at that place as well. And then, like for me, we already talked about Pat. Michigan State will be better with him there. He understands the Big Ten. He understands how to coach in the conference. And I can't wait to see him back in college football. It's going to be a good thing.
Okay, with all of that coaching movement, everything that's going on there, Bill, what is Penn State like? Where do they ultimately go? I mean, are there any good options for them to be able to pull in here?
Well, I mean, like I said, Kalani's the new name. Missing out on Chesney's bad, because I like Bob Chesney a lot. I think he'll do a good job at UCLA. So, I mean, as you're saying this and you're getting desperate for a coach, like at what point do you give Brian Kelly a call?
Oh, yes.
I mean, like, I'm not trying to stir things up, but
You are stirring the pot.
I am going to stir it a little bit, though. At what point do you say, hey, at least we got Brian Kelly, who does have a high winning percentage, does, he's won. We could see him in the Big Ten once and for all. That would be a lot of fun. And it depends on if Brian Kelly wants one more job.
Was he just basically James Franklin 2.0? Like, you look at their career arcs and what they've done, and they've always built programs, got them really close, but kind of never punched it in. I mean, would Penn State fans be happy about that?
Well, I just watched Terminator 2 the other night for like the billionth time. Which Terminator is Brian Kelly? Is he the liquid metal one or the Arnold one that still gets the job done? Yeah, that's a great comparison. But given where you're at, and it's so ironic, Bobby, that they're the ones that kind of kick-started this whole thing to start with when they fired Franklin. And I know there were a couple other guys that were fired before that, and they're the one that all these guys took extensions: Signetti, Rule, Elko, Brom, and now you're left without a coach that at some point in time, if I'm Pat Kraft, I might, if I'm desperate, I'd be like, see what BK's doing. What golf course is he on? Is he interested? And you go from there.
Man, could you imagine their fan base if that was it? I'll give you another Kelly. Yep.
I mean,
there's another one. And that's the thing. Penn State, guys, this is straight up economics. Bob, you know this. You're only as valuable as what, everybody? Your second best option. And guess what? They crapped the bed on this, man. They did. Yeah. And that's on them.
And real quick, that can set your program back. If anybody doesn't think, when you hire the wrong guy in this 18-team league where Indiana's competitive now, and USC went 9-3 with Lincoln Riley, Michigan still went 9-3 with Sharon Moore, you can slip to 7-5 and 6-6 and live in that uncomfortable middle class really quickly. If you am I wrong? I mean, if you hire the wrong coach and fire the right coach, that can happen to your program, and that's what they could be facing.
You look at Nebraska, you look at Florida. I mean, this has happened over the course of time. You miss one, and then all of a sudden you miss on a second, and there went half a decade or 7 years almost. So issues with that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming back, Bill's got some great stuff on the Miami Notre Dame conversation. We'll get into the rankings, some of the games, some of the upsets, some actual football that was being played or will be played on the field. But I do have one other quick question for him about the coaches hiring cycle as we dig through that. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Export Mouth Guards. Schlegs, they are scientifically tested to protect your teeth and your brain. They're designed by NHL dentists, trusted by professional athletes. Export mouth guards have 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber. They custom 3D print that right to your grill. Means more protection, better performance, max comfort, clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby today and save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. More with Bill Bender coming up next. I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer. Welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. We are still here with our guy, Mr. Bill Bender, the Sporting News. And before we get into that Miami Notre Dame comparison, we were talking about Brian Hartline, and you look at a lot of these coaches, Bill. In the past, it seems like maybe there's been more coordinators plucked. This time, really no coordinators outside of Stein being taken for these big-time positions. Do you think that that's a trend just unique to this hiring cycle, or maybe what's driving that?
Well, I think that's a great question. And I think Brian Hartline, I mean, first of all, he did a very good job as the OC this year. Second, I mean, you see his resume on Sunday, which is the big one, with its JSN or Garrett Wilson or Marvin Harrison, that recruiting at the receiver position that he's been able to do is arguably, I don't want to overstate it, it might be the best of all time in some ways, because now you're looking at Jeremiah, Carnell, Brandon. Those guys are all going to play on Sunday too. That's part of it, but that's not everything. And as you know, a lot of these guys that coach at Ohio State, it's hard to pry them away. He's not going to leave unless it's the absolute best fit for him. And, he's been rumored to Kentucky, Cincinnati, Penn State. Am I missing any of them from around the area? But who's to say it wouldn't be like USC in 5 years or somewhere, or just wait it out and maybe someday be the head coach at Ohio State, which isn't out of the question. And I think that's all of those things are probably in Brian Hartline's mind. I'm not speaking for him, but I just think he's done an awesome job in his current position and will continue to do so.
All right, Bill. Thank you. We appreciate that. Now you got this great article you put together on Sporting News, the Miami Notre Dame conversation. Give us some of the highlights of that and your kind of position on where that looks right now, because at a Vanderbilt team with a huge win over Tennessee, you had a Texas team with a big win over A&M. One has 2 losses, one has 3. And people are like, man, maybe they should be in. I'm like, well, to put them in, you got to take somebody out. And it's the same thing with Miami, because nobody at the top lost except for A&M. And I don't think they're falling all the way to 12 or 13.
Well, I think 2 things are going to happen here. One, Notre Dame will be ranked higher tonight, and that's going to drive people crazy because we're going to go straight to head-to-head. And the people that are angry have a point. Because if you look at the record of their opponents all the way through their schedule, they're Miami and Notre Dame are literally separated by a half game. I mean, I thought that was crazy. They've played about the same number of ranked teams. I'm not going to judge a playoff team based on, hey, Notre Dame beat the common ACC opponents by 15 points more, or that Miami beat Pitt by a couple more points than Notre Dame. That doesn't really matter to me. The head-to-head should matter. Miami probably should be ranked ahead of Notre Dame, but there's part of this argument where I'm like, I've watched Notre Dame for the last month. They look really good. Yeah. And I think that can override that sometimes. And that's this big debate that the committee was having. I think Notre Dame will be ranked ahead of Miami. I could be wrong. And for some reason, despite that head-to-head, and it makes me terrible, I guess, I think they probably should be ranked ahead of Miami. Maybe it's the losses, right? Like Miami's losses are worse than Notre Dame's. That's part of it.
Yeah, they lost. Who they lost? They lost to Louisville, and they lost to SMU SMU, who just got beat by Cal, who doesn't have a head coach, by the way, aka maybe Tosh Lupoy. Anyways, When you look at that, like you just said, they're going to be ranked higher. Like who are they going to be ranked? Like who are they going to jump?
Who? Miami?
Notre Dame.
No,
And
they'll be
let's
ranked.
get you know what? I'm going to rephrase my question, Magnum. I'm going to rephrase it. Okay, because you just talked about Notre Dame, Miami. All right, you got Texas Tech, BYU playing a championship game. Only one's going unless BYU happens to win, then they'll get two. ACC, what are we doing in that one? Because you got Duke playing Virginia, and you got Miami as the highest seed, right? And you got North Texas in there. You got Tulane. You got JMU as the highest ranked group of 5 right now. Like, who's going to be that? How does it all shake out from that perspective? And then we can dive in with, is Vandy going to go? Is Texas going to potentially be in there? Like, we'll go into that next. But talk to me about the ACC and the craziness that is that.
Okay, so would you, if you were Jim Phillips, you can't do it now, but I would probably put a rule for the tiebreakers in place that, we can't have a 5-loss team in the conference championship. I know they won the tiebreakers with Miami. I get all that, and they finished 6-2 in conference play, but we've got to – I would have almost overrode it and put Miami in. Yeah, and I know that would have resulted in a giant lawsuit from Duke, and we can't do that in a real-world situation, but the ACC really needs Virginia to win that game, because I think if Duke were to beat Virginia, I'm not sure they get in the college football playoff based on this 5-conference champion rule where the winner of Tulane and North Texas is going, and James Madison should be ranked ahead of Duke. They haven't lost 5 games.
All right.
Now you're praying that Miami gets in somehow, and I know the schedules are imbalanced and we have these huge conferences, but that's something that they should probably have in the future. I mean, I do think Miami's the best team in the ACC, and they're not in Charlotte. And that's one of those quirks to this. And they should be angry too, because obviously Notre Dame's not playing in a game like this. And Here's the other one I want to ask you guys. Because I need more opinions on it before I read about it tonight. Alabama loses by 2 touchdowns to Georgia. Are they out?
That's tough. I mean, you start getting over 14 points, and to me, Bill, it's like, how does that feel? Is it a late touchdown? Was it
Right.
one score most of the time, or was it like watching the Ohio State Michigan game where after the second quarter, like, this is not really close. Ohio State's just running the ball and pounding it. I mean, if they get thoroughly dominated, I think it maybe depends on some other things, but I'm not one for penalizing teams for how they look in a 13th game that only a handful of teams are getting to play.
Yeah.
And so I trying to balance that. That's what the tough thing is, because I don't think Indiana or Ohio State, I think both of them are going to get buys, regardless of ultimately what happens. And so I don't want to punish, Alabama for that, because they did get there and they got in. If you're doing that, like, who are you putting in at that point? Like, you're probably putting in Miami. And I don't know if that's really fair to Bama based upon, if you look at their body of work, they beat a hell of a lot of good teams this year, and maybe haven't been great at the end. And I guess that goes into like the rest of this, like another question that I have for you. With Texas beating A&M, are you high on Texas for that? Or is that more concern about maybe some flaws that A&M has had, who also kind of had a softer schedule?
At no point when I was sitting in the Toledo BW3s did I think that Texas A&M was going to win the game, ever. Like, Texas was the better team. They showed that in the second half. And I actually agreed with Steve Sarkisian's post-game speech, rant, whatever you want to call it, campaign, step for step. And I know the Florida loss is bad. I get that. But they could say, why they are getting penalized, in my opinion, for stepping out and playing Ohio State.
Yep.
And I know they gave Ohio State their toughest game. They lost the game. I know the wins and losses have to count. But if they would have played Minnesota instead of Ohio State, is there any doubt in any one of our minds that Texas wouldn't have been ranked ahead of Oklahoma in the college football playoff rankings right now at 10-2? And if coaches see this happen, they're going to be more hesitant to schedule those awesome games, which, by the way, we all remember that Texas Ohio State environment was amazing. It was fun. It was probably one of the best September environments I've ever been in. Yep. And I don't want to see those go away because people are scared. I don't want to say scared, but if you go 9-3 and you're better than a 10-2 team, which I think they are better than some of those teams, you should be rewarded for it.
And it also goes back to the point that if you are in the conference championship game and highly ranked, how do you penalize that team, aka Alabama, who's 7-1, that loses to Georgia, and now they're a 10-3 team, versus a Texas team that is 9-3, still 3 losses, but they played an extra game. You can't hurt them. I mean, you can't do it. Doesn't make any sense. That's why I don't want a conference championship game. It should just be here's a 12, and then there you go.
Well, so and Bobby brought it up earlier. Ohio State, Indiana is, yes, it's a Big Ten championship game. Yes, it's 1 versus 2. Yes, it's going to be awesome. And I don't want to diminish what that game means. But from a playoff pragmatic standpoint, it's for who's number 1 and who's number 4. It's basically the winner's going to the Rose Bowl. The loser's probably going to the Cotton Bowl. They both will get first-round buys, which they've earned through the regular season. But there's I would rather just skip that because it's going to be another tough game you got to play. What if they play Indiana in 3 weeks? So I'm like, let's go. We've played the regular season. Let's go to 16 and just let it rip in 2 weeks, 4 straight. Let's go from there and get this thing going.
I like it. If you're going to do that and eliminate the conference championships, throw another round on home sites, like I'm all for it, Bill. Those are things I think everybody can get behind. Sir, we appreciate your time today. We covered a lot of ground. There's still a heck of a lot of ground to cover. Got the rankings coming out tonight. Should be very interesting because I don't know if there'll be a whole lot of movement after Saturday, but we'll see ultimately what happens, sir. You have a good one, and we'll catch up again soon.
Hey, thanks so much. I'm going to make sure the kids, we had a snow day today. The driveway better be shoveled. I'm going to go make sure. I'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Go check out his stuff on the Sporting News. It's absolutely tremendous over there. I want to tell you about our friends at Backer. It's December. Listen, they've been having some great sales, some great specials. BCKR.com. Great fan gear. Tons of options. They got all kinds of good stuff out there. The products are nice. They look good. They feel good. I mean, it's the high-end quality you're looking for. Great for any college football fan. BCKR.com. They've got free shipping right now, and use promo code all caps BOBBY at checkout for an additional 10% off. Make sure you get some loved ones some Backer gear for Christmas. They're going to love it as much as Schlegs and I love ours. All right, coming up, we've got our headlines, and we're going to focus on some tight end action, Schlegs.
Ooh, I love it. Nobody likes a loose end, Bob.
No one likes a loose end, and you get to, stroke off your boy Keenan Bailey and his tight ends and how he might not be able to fight you, but I think Will Kazmarek could do it in his place. We got that here coming up next. Welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. We've got some great questions fired up for our tailgate talk coming up next. But first, I want to show you Will Kazmarek, a.k.a. Bill Kazmaier, Schlegs, doing some dirty work. Your boy Keenan Bailey. I mean, there's just some straight mall sessions in this, dude, with what he was able to do. Fire that up and just let it play. Look at him box down there. That's a wall down, mashed right into the ground. This next one, Schlegs, is unbelievable. Square up. Right to the back. That looks like when Schlegs played against Michigan, him getting tattooed. Sealing the edge, dumping dudes on the ground. Oh, there's the limp leg before he gets out of there and gets rolling. Mr. Bo Jackson, that is. I mean, his point of attack block was – and then he ultimately has this catch in the seam. That's a hell of a ball, man. It's a great ball and a great catch by a guy who's, quote Schlegs, a blocking tight end. Another wall down. And listen, they ran so much counter and stutter. That wall down by the tight end is critical, and that's just a straight maul session.
Hey, there's a better one I think coming up where it's at the right. Oh no, this is just it right there. Just boom, leverage. There you go, cut back. Yep, just keep going.
Oh, coming back across. Oh, there's one. Oh,
no, there's another one on the DN.
There's one where he comes back. This might be it right here, Schlegs. Yeah,
that's it.
Where he takes him and dumps him.
Look at him, just stands there. All right, I want to go back. So I remember when I first came to Ohio State from Ohio, and I already knew he had the right mindset. Keenan was just over there, and they had their own little thing. It was just like your daily vitamins, and there was an Austin leg drive, there were striking machines, and literally after the workouts, he just did his daily vitamins, and then in the weight room, he knew all the things that he needed to work on. But that's how he practiced, and what a great environment to come in because Kate Stover had just left. And now you got Will like that at G, which he pushed G. And then boom, this year you got in Max Claren. He's also made Bennett Christian better, and he's made Jelani Thurman better. And it's like you're seeing that Nate Roberts, as a freshman, has done a phenomenal job as well from a missed block that he had earlier in the season. Guys, it just goes back to the power of the unit. And it starts with the position coach. And Bob, you and I, and Keenan and I joke about our stuff. But here's the thing. I highly respect Keenan Bailey and what he's done in that room because he's been charged with owning that power of that unit. And those guys feed off his juice and energy to where he's sending me videos of them doing individual drills in the snow because that's just what they freaking do at Ohio State, right, wrong, or indifferent. It's the mindset. It's the mentality. And for it to come out and be visual in a game like this, it mattered. And it goes back to, well, what are they doing? Why are they using these personnels? Guys, it was a build. It was the process to get to where we were in last week's game versus Michigan, that team up north.
So one of my coaches, a guy by the name of Casey Coffee Schlegs, I don't know if this was an original that he made up. He was from Morgan, Ohio. He called it the fury before the maul. He's like, you'd see that look in the bear's eye right before you knew you were cooked. All right. You looked at it, maybe he was going to walk away, and then he sees that, you get that look, you're like, no, it's over. Bear's going to get you today. And that was the fury before the maul with Will Kazmarek. And, you talk about all these guys in the portal and, Quinshon Judkins coming in from Ole Miss and IGB coming in from Ole Miss and Will Howard coming in from Kansas State and these guys from all these power, 4 schools. But Will Kazmarek coming in from Ohio University, they're like, he was the best tight end in the portal. Like he was by far one of the best players in there. And we knew that he was going to be a part of it. He maybe isn't going to be a guy that goes and Max Claren catches you 60 balls, but my goodness, he's a dude that sets the tone up front when you want to get physical. And that's the thing. They've got so many personnel and a variety of them that they can get after everything in a multitude of ways. So it's awesome to see that. I wanted to feature him today, Schlegs, as one of the featured performers of the Bobby Carpenter Show, because after Keenan Bailey backed you down and you took a knee to his fury before the maul, I think we can all celebrate him a little bit. That's it for our headlines. We've got our tailgate talk. We answered some of your questions. There's some good ones already in there. Throw a couple more in. We'll answer those next. I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer. All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. We got our tailgate talk now, and there's a great one that was thrown in there. Oh, goodness.
There's so many. First off, you guys
by
in the chat are
Emily.
doing a nice job.
It was great. Great question by Emily, the Go Bucks 79 here. Didn't realize that we had a Gold Pants committee. Gold Pants committee. How does that work? So here's what the Gold Pants committee does. It's former players. I believe Matt Finkus is in charge of right now. Jim Lachey was involved with it for a long time. And the Gold Pants are bought not by the university, but by the Gold Pants committee. So they do fundraisers and raise money for it to be able to get it done. And for a long time through the 90s, Schlegs, they said they had a surplus of dollars. Well, then all of a sudden, they didn't have enough dollars because when you win 17 of 20, you're giving out Gold Pants every year. Well, maybe they were able to build up a surplus over the last 4 years. And the way it works is, I don't know what the number is now. Maybe it's $500, but for a long time, the gift that you could give was a $300 gift. And so there would be $300 worth of gold in the Gold Pants. And so some years if gold was really expensive, there'd be less gold in it. Some years you could see they're more yellow because there's more gold if the price of gold was down. But that's how the Gold Pants committee works. They come in, they talk about the history of the Gold Pants, when they were established, what they mean to Ohio State players, and then they pass them all out. And it's a great little deal that they ultimately have. And it's something that's very, very special.
And very special. And, the cool thing is you go through, just like when you get rings, Bob, and the size of those rings have changed. But every year that you have a pair of those things, it's because we put them on one leg at a time, just like the Buckeyes. And You go back and there's a memory, there's a story, there's the season, the culmination to that game, the 04 game versus like the 05 game, and the 2012 and 13 and 14 games that I got pants for, and what those teams were, right? And what led up to getting those and the memories that are behind them. That's why they're so special outside of the rivalry in and of itself.
All right, Terry threw this question in here. Will Coach Day try to secure the win and play conservative to ensure health, or all gas, no brakes, score as much as possible? I do think there's a window in this, and the window is win the game. Okay,
Yeah, that's what he says.
I don't know if Brian's trying to score 70, but it's an indoor track. But you're playing an Indiana team that scores a lot of points. We'll see we'll talk later in this week as we get into the game planning and everything of trying to keep them down and what we need to hold them to. But I don't think he plays conservative to ensure health. I think he plays to win the game. None of these guys have won a Big Ten championship. And that's something when Ryan talks about the goals, this is all about the chop wood, carry water, build the foundation. First goal, you build the foundation to beat Michigan. Then it's get to Indy, go win that, and then you start the playoff run to win a national championship. So this is something these guys do hold dear and they do care about.
Yep, 100%. Give another question, Bob. I like it. This is fun.
All right. Wig out 24/7. I'm hoping the Buckeyes don't have a team up north hangover and have moved on to Indy. Indy will be ready, Schleiks.
So what makes Indy more ready than us? I mean, they played a Purdue team that was terrible, right? So now they move in. We're coming out of that game having, again, worked the process. So, and showing that you can physically dominate a team that wants to be perceived as physically dominant. And so going into this, right? Indiana can run the football. Indiana can throw the football. Ohio State can run the football. They can throw the football. They can also stop the run. You got two elite defenses playing against two elite offenses. Like, you couldn't have anything scripted better, 1 versus 2. And I think I go back to what I said. Maybe it was yesterday, because I can't even remember if yesterday was what it was. Was it Monday? And I said this: when you are taught about just embracing the process and being process driven over results driven, when you see the results, it just keeps feeding and fanning the flame that you want to go out and just work the process more. And because, again, when it's good on good, this is a good on good matchup type game in the conference championship. I think they're ready for it. I don't see a hangover. You got your dudes back. Matter of fact, some of those guys that were trying to come back, they got some confidence that they can do what they do on, like with their body. So yeah. I feel very good about where they are and mindset, most importantly, of this team of being a pro and handling their business, Bob.
Absolutely. All right, Schlegs, that is it for that. There's some great questions. Listen, keep those questions firing tomorrow. We'll be on at 11 again tomorrow. Schlegs is going to be out because he's got a funeral that I would like to have gone to, too. I've got a million things to get done, though, so unfortunately I won't be able to head out. So maybe a mystery guest in tomorrow. Who knows? Great questions, though. Coming back with the side nuggets and parting thoughts of Mr. Anthony Schlegel. All right, welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. And we're wrapping up here. Schlegs, take it away.
Yeah, parting thoughts. How long do I have, Matt or Pat? Good. It's fine. 51. Excellent. Look at this guy, Brutus. Hey, first off, Bob, you and I, we've known Ray for a long time, who's in charge of that. But they can't. Amazing.
Terrible.
It's just snowing out there. And he crossed, there's the M, and he crossed out the M, and then he did Script Ohio. Good for them. That was beautiful. I'm happy that everybody is happy. Giving them his flowers.
Absolutely, Schlegs. I'll tell Matt and Pat, good job for getting that pulled up for us. Phenomenal job today, sir. Have a safe trip back and forth to Youngstown. Enjoy that. Try to say hello to everybody up there for me. And we'll get caught back up on Thursday here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.